Boy, Morty, I really Cronenberg'd the world up, didn't I? You got a whole planet of Cronenbergs walking around down there, Morty.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome, VIPs, financiers, and members of the press and spiders to episode 329 as my dyslexia hits, and we are having another episode of the Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 13th of November, 2019. And today's episode is the Lazarus Experiment, written by Stephen Greenhorn and starring David Tennant as the Doctor, Freema Agyeman as Martha Jones, and I am your normal tech director, Mad Matt Winchell. Also with us tonight hosting is Bill Man Black Sylvia.
Life is chaos.
Randy Runson McCulloch.
Pain, nothing but pain.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Ooga booga. Woohoo!
Alrighty, and Thomas Fireheart.
Hello.
Sorry, joke.
The absolutely plain one to the rest of our weird state.
I was trying.
I just love how I'm trying to read things, and all of a sudden my dyslexia hits me like 3 times in 2 lines. It's like
Apparently. Need to recite your lines more? God.
no, reciting them will only make it worse.
Well, you can't recite
it's
the lines until you
dyslexia,
cite
dude.
the
It'll
lines.
just keep going backwards, no matter how many times I go over it.
Hey, I remember from your Lotro readings.
Yeah, remember when I started just getting pissed off enough that I just started replacing everything with vague descriptors? Because fuck Elvish language.
All right, so
That
how's
was-
everybody's weeks been?
Well,
It got
I-
cold here.
I withdrew.
Define cold, Tim.
Well, when I went outside, I had to wear a glove.
We hit 20 for the first time this week, but I think you've
We
gotten
hit
colder.
single digits.
Yes,
Oh,
we've technically been in negatives.
Well,
Mostly
don't you
overnight.
live the charmed life?
It's been bitingly cold here.
I'm just glad that the wind finally stopped.
Yeah,
much.
we're finally going to start seeing temperatures pick up back into the 20s and 30s, and we're just going, thank you, Lord.
God. Meanwhile, down here, there are bushfires going on at the moment in some states that you can see from space.
I think there are still fires going on in the United States.
Oh, there are in SoCal. They had to evacuate Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
I checked in on my friend that lives near Anaheim, but apparently she's just out of the way enough that the fires don't usually get where she is.
Yeah, my mother lives in the middle of the desert, so there's not really enough brush to start a fire out there.
Meanwhile, in Wisconsin, we wish we had more brush so we end that fire so we could actually warm this shit up.
Yeah, I'm
So-
like, my mother's like, yeah, we're moving into California. I'm like, why?
That's a good question.
Like, Jesus. Rolling blackouts, fires, gas prices through the roof. Why
Wait,
the
isn't
fuck?
your mother the one in Canada, or are you talking
Yes.
about like before?
She has
Yeah.
left Canada. She has left
Oh.
Canada and is now living in California.
Ha.
Huh.
She
Too cold.
she and her husband, the Canadian who stole her.
So basically, they were sick of snow and they wanted to never see it again.
Actually, I don't know what's up with my mother. I'm pretty sure she has gone completely insane.
Well, she's moving out into the middle of a desert, so that's already a stroke in that favor.
Okay, Matt, this is what I define by insane. she, in one breath, mentions the fact that she wanted to move out of Medicine Hat, Canada, because it was too right-wing for her. And then in the next breath, she talks about getting a house near Eau Claire.
Wow,
For
if you
those
think
of you
anywhere in
that-
Canada is right wing.
Yeah. Eau Claire is like the biggest redneck zone in Wisconsin. It's right in the middle of the ultra conservative zone. Pretty much across La Crosse to Eau Claire is just right wing capital.
Ah.
So I'm like, what? What? Whereas the liberal capital of Wisconsin is like Madison to Milwaukee and south.
Pretty much as far as I can figure.
South central and southeastern Wisconsin are the most liberal parts, with little itty bitty urban zones north.
Chunks here and there, yeah.
But the main blue part of the state's down there, and she's like, wants to move to the part of Wisconsin that is farthest from. The only way she could get worse is if she decided to move to Superior, which is the
That's a lake.
It's also a town on the southern edge of the lake. Right up on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. It is about as far from civilized Wisconsin as you can get. I have never been that far north in Wisconsin.
Going all the way up there, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty much. You can look across the lake and spit on Canada. Just about.
That would be rude.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that because it's rude, and they'd be going, "Hey," and we'd be like, "Sorry."
Hey there, thank you for the water, but our water table's just fine there, don't you know? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think the fish need any more extra fluid, don't you know, dearie?
Oh yeah, it was 3 days ago. They had to evacuate Warner Brothers Studios because there was a fire in Hollywood Hills right near there.
Well, that's a thing.
Yeah. I just didn't know when it happened. I just remember getting the news pop up on my phone and going, oh, shit. Are we going to get one of those things where we used to have this set, but it burned down in the fire of 2019?
The only one I can really think of that happened the last time that really happened was the 007 set. And that was, I believe, in Britain.
There were a couple other sets that burned. They've lost their New York City Street set twice to fire, but they've rebuilt it both times.
Well, of course, it's a New York City set. You got to have that eventually.
And that's Universal Studios that happened. But yeah, because that's also where they had like the Ghostbusters firehouse and everything was there, and they've rebuilt it twice. So, because fires are fires are fires. I think they might have had to rebuild the Psycho house once too.
I think they rebuilt the Psycho house at least twice at this point, and a couple of times it's been moved, but it has not needed to be rebuilt.
At least once it burnt because of
at least the first time, yeah, for sure it burned.
Because wildfires, yeah.
I think for a reason for one of them, they just decided to rebuild it from scratch because apparently it might have been too deteriorated inside or something.
That's probably true, yeah.
So my own personal news, more of a figurative dumpster fire than any literal fire. I withdrew from the conference I was planning to present my Marvel and Star Wars post-colonial paper at because I just have too much shit going on. And it was a good call that I did make that, because if I tried to deposit the check from my school to pay for the hotel, it would have entirely been subsumed by my rent check that overdrew my account.
Ooh.
Because the financial aid department could not help me, and I'm just, of course, the bank always screws you as much as possible whenever that happens. So every payment that I made thinking my rent check hadn't gone through yet, all got overdraft fees, so they got like an extra $150 out of me. And there's nothing I can do about that because I've talked to them about it in the past.
Yeah, I know. I've had that happen to me too.
So my account's probably going to be negative for the rest of the month.
That was my last month. I started by the 5th, $25 in the hole, and I'm like, oh Jesus.
What's
No.
900 in negative right now?
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Well, mind you, the amounts I deal with are a lot less than the amounts you deal with.
Mm.
I get $700 a month. So.
Wow, you're officially getting more money than me.
Me? Yeah, but you got to remember, I'm also paying rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas my rent is $1150. So on months that I only make $1,200, I'm just pretty much completely fucked.
Yeah, and with me, our rent is about $875 here, and you've seen our apartment, Bill.
Yeah.
And so basically, Aaron and I, split that. But then there's also utilities, power, internet. Generally, I wind up paying out of that 700. I wind up paying between $500 and $550 every month, leaving me with $150 to $200 for other stuff. And occasionally, that won't be enough if I've had to make, purchases for other things like, food, clothing, etc. And then suddenly something will bounce. Last month, it was just I just had a few purchases that just popped over my head, and at least I think I went into the month negative. So that's already $20-$50 in the hole, and it just went. I was lucky to maintain it to just being $25 in the hole this time. Hopefully, I can get out of that hole by the end of the month. I'm trying to be careful.
Have to wait and see.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say what they did this week?
I visited family for a bit this week.
Mm.
Got to see the nephews again. Also, I've covered family Christmas presents already.
I may have twisted my ankle.
Oof.
Yeah, it was weak after those gout attacks.
Mm.
And I think I just rolled it going into the car, climbing in and out of the car. Oh, Aaron and I tried a new restaurant. Well, it's not a new restaurant, but it's new to us.
Mm.
It's been a staple of Madison's West Side for as long as I can remember, called the Copper Top Restaurant. Over on, basically, it's like 5 minutes from us on the corner of Whitney Way and Schrader Road.
Okay.
It was pretty good. They had, we both had cinnamon French toast. And it was made with like a local bakery cinnamon bread. It was really good. But, I had seen this restaurant for 30 some years and I had never eaten there. And I'd asked somebody about it once and they're like, oh, well, it's just a little greasy family restaurant. Not really worth the time. So worth the time.
Bite thy tongue.
Yes. Aaron and I are going to probably just eat around once a week, try various locations in town for breakfasts and see what we like best. What gives us the most bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Because we've been eating at one place called the Egg and I, which is over on the Beltline. And it's good, but it's a little pricey.
Mm.
Whereas
you want good without the price tag, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a good $5 cheaper, so I want to try their chicken fried steak at some point, because that and somebody was ordering lunch just as we were finishing our breakfast, and they came in with a French dip, and I'm just like, ooh, French dip. French dip, by the way, is one of my favorite sandwiches. You know what a French dip is, guys?
Oh yeah, that's one of my top 5 too.
I was asking the other guys if they knew what a French dip was.
I think so.
Don't think I do.
Usually it's roast beef, Swiss cheese, I usually think, is it?
Something like Swiss cheese, yeah.
Roast beef, Swiss cheese, sometimes onions. Like roasted onions?
the one with the gravy dip. That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, and the au
it comes
jus dip.
with
Yeah.
the au sauce.
I will
yeah.
say the Arby's version is not the best representation.
Not the best, but it's not
I had
terrible.
that once, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm never ordering this sandwich again."
Oh, I ordered it all the time because I was craving French dip, and it was all I could
It might
get.
have been your local restaurant.
See, there was a place.
It's just it's in terms of Arby's, it's the most plain sandwich they have. So unless it's something that you have like a nostalgia for, it's probably not going to do much for you.
See, there was a place in Madison that had the ultimate French dip. I loved it to death. It was called the Irish Waters Tavern, and it went out of business around 2003.
Mm-hmm.
The owners didn't want to sell, but this developer really wanted the land and eventually made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Damn.
So they closed the bar, and then the developer, before they could even develop the place, went out of business.
Well, that was a worthwhile purchase, you schmucks.
Yeah, it's been sitting idle for 15 years now. It was right when the housing bubble blew in Madison. So it might have been like 2007, 2008. But yeah, the developer went to develop it, and basically the housing bubble blew and he went out of business. So it's like, God damn it. That was my favorite fucking restaurant, because they also had the greatest hot wings.
Mm.
Oh, God, did they have good hot wings. I would eat them, tears streaming down my face, my nose running like a faucet. I'm sitting there going, oh, so good. So good. Anyway, on tonight's show, we've got news and birthdays. We have some geek talk. We have a revised section called Weekly Rants, and this time the ranter du jour is going to be Matt.
Yes, I was actually requested to do this rant because I know a bit more about this probably than most of the others here.
We have a review of Shame coming from Thomas. And then we've got our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? We have 2 birthdays. The first of which, in the 10th of November, is writer Neil Gaiman, who you might remember writing episodes like The Doctor's Wife and Nightmare in Silver. Turned 59. Of course, Neil Gaiman is known for a lot of other things.
I saw, I think very recently, someone that dressed as Death for Halloween. No one knew where she worked at. She worked at, I think, a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So she was highly amused.
And then, of course, the 12th of November, we have the birthday of our own Thomas Fireheart, who turned 29.
So I must admit, I did not realize that I was exactly 30 years and 2 days younger than Neil Gaiman.
Well, now you know.
I have some other interesting news for you, Thomas. Apparently, you share a name with a Marvel Comics character.
The whole name, or just the last?
The whole name, first and last.
There is a Thomas Fireheart character in Marvel, which was weird to find out.
Yeah, apparently he's a Native American superhero.
I mean, like, they spell it like properly, not the kind of poor literacy is cool spelling I use, but you know.
All right. Anyway, happy birthday, Neil. Happy birthday, Thomas. Let's move on to our episode news.
Okay. Now that the filming's done, the BBC has announced all the writers and directors for Series 12. Writers are returning writers Chris Chibnall, Ed Heim, Pete McTighe, or T or something, depending on the pronunciation, and Vinay Patel, Demons of the Punjab. New to the writers' table is Nina Mativier, Maxine Alderton, and Charlene James. The new directors are Nita Manzoor, Emma Sullivan, Jamie Magnus Stone, and Lee Haven Jones.
And just to let you know, Nina Metvier is known for the teen thriller series The A-List, and also did the BAFTA award-winning series Dixie. Maxine Alderton did CBBC's The Worst Witch, was also involved in Emmerdale, and she won a Yorkshire RTS Award for Best Writer for an episode of Emmerdale.
There you go.
Charlene James has written for the television show A Discovery of Witches and the theater play Cuttin' It. So there you go. And we've already discussed
like a diverse range of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
But
directors-
can drama writers write sci-fi?
Emma Sullivan was named one of Screen International's Stars of Tomorrow after her short film After Tomorrow was nominated for a Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. It also won Best Short Film at Edinburgh Film Festival in 2009. She has also directed dramas Call the Midwife and Silent Witness. Nida Manzoor was Broadcast Magazine's Hot Shot back in 2015. She directed the BBC comedy drama Enterprise. She is currently writing, directing an original music comedy series for Channel 4 called Lady Parts. Jamie Magnus Stone has done both film directing and animation. He has a BAFTA-nominated short, Orbit Ever After, and has included Tripped and The Last Dragon Slayer as recent work. And Lee Haven Jones has directed multiple episodes of hit dramas, including The Bay, Vera, and Shetland. He has won 2 Welsh BAFTAs for his directing, and his first feature film, Wildeld Feast, I can't even pronounce it, it's in Welsh, will appear later, will appear next year. So that's our staff. I really don't see much in the way of sci-fi writing and directing in this.
No, that makes me raise an eyebrow.
And that's, because that's kind of what their table lacked last year.
Right.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that's what hurt them.
Yeah, and I don't see any new sci-fi faces.
And that wouldn't be too much of an issue if that was Chibnall's strength, but if anything, it's his weakness.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need exactly the opposite kind of staff behind him, and it's really, unless these people are secretly like huge nerds, and they just haven't had a chance to show it, that'd be one thing. But they don't seem to be showing that.
It might be a great writers' table for Broadchurch season 4.
Yeah, but not so much the next season of Doctor Who.
Yeah. It's kind of what I'm worried about Chibnall is he's in charge of Doctor Who, but I think he's forgotten what Doctor Who is.
Yeah. It's starting to be a little worrisome.
That it's primarily science fiction, science fantasy. And yes, you can write about social issues, but you've got to put the veil of science fiction and fantasy over them.
Instead of hitting us with a sledgehammer every other episode.
I mean, whereas I spent most of the Moffat era wanting to kick him in the nuts, or kick him in the dick, as I would recently say, I really want to sit Chibnall down in a Clockwork Orange-style machine and have him watch, like, the entire Tom Baker era of Doctor Who.
Right? I think somebody's lost the loop of what they're supposed to be writing here.
Yes. And remind him that, yes, you can talk about social issues if you hide it behind stuff. But still,
As a matter of fact, you can even slip in slide warnings about things before they happen and still have a veil of, ooh, this is a cool sci-fi show.
Because, yes, the kids will watch it because it's cool sci-fi show. The parents will watch it because it's decent sci-fi, and they get their little social message.
Yes, they get the commentary, which makes them ponder a bit.
Except for the fathers who watch it for the scantily clad ladies.
Well, no one said you couldn't do both.
Especially during the John Nathan Turner era.
Yeah.
John Nathan Turner sometimes reminds me of Rick Berman going, sex sells, yes. Okay, we got it. All right, so that is our main news. We have some Big Finish news. Tim?
Big Finish, yes. Torchwood villain Billis Manger returns in this new monthly Torchwood installment. In Dead Man's Switch, Billis Manger goes around to people and tells them the story of their death. Torchwood Dead Man's Switch is available now as a collector's edition CD at £9.99 or on download at £7.99.
If you remember, Billis Manger was the bad guy, I think, at the end of the first season.
He was the forewarner of the big bad of the second season.
But yeah, he was the ongoing. I mean, I don't really count the demon as being the villain of the season.
Yeah, he was essentially the
episode.
builder up to that. But yeah, he acted more or less for a majority of that season as the main villain.
Yep. So they got the original actor back, and he's basically playing the character again.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yep.
Be interesting to see where they go with that.
I wonder where they're going to go with this one. David Banks returns again as Cyber Leader, this time against Peter Davidson's Fifth Doctor in a new monthly adventure. In Warzone, the TARDIS appears in the middle of a winner-take-all race. The crew is forced to run for their lives or be seen as an obstacle. In Conversion, the Doctor runs into pirates scavenging tech in the outer reaches of the galaxy. However, some of this tech has a life of their own.
Now, which one of those do you think the Cybermen appears in?
Both.
I'll take the pirates for 200, Alex.
And you are correct!
Really? What tipped you off?
I should have asked if that was his final answer.
There is logic in what he says.
Anyway, speaking of people returning, Fraser Hines again takes double billing as both Jamie and the Second Doctor in two new stories. In Daughter of the Gods, an accident causes the Second Doctor to meet the First Doctor, and in The Home Guard, Ben goes to visit his married friends, Polly and Jamie, during the Second World War. Wait, what?
Yeah, that's kind of wait, what?
You can now buy Doctor Who, The Early Adventures, Daughter of the Gods, and The Home Guard as collector's edition CD box sets, priced at $14.99 each, or on download at $10.99 each. That's again in pounds, not dollars.
I don't want to think about Jamie and Polly thinking they're married.
Yeah,
does seem quite weird, doesn't it?
Yes.
Don't tell Victoria.
Did I miss an episode of Doctor Who where that happens?
No, I'm pretty sure the entire plot is a plot twist. Someone punched time and fucked something up.
The CIA bollocks it up. I'm sure of it.
And in the episode after The Home Guard, Polly finds out she's pregnant, but doesn't know how.
If you mean by CIA, you mean the Time Lords punched time again, then yes.
It might not even be the Time Lords.
Intervention Agency.
I mean, as far as we know, it could be, the freaking Mad Monk or something.
That's a possibility too. Yeah, there's a number of a-holes who will mess with time on the Doctor, and they have to straighten it out again.
This is the game of Rassilon.
The game of Rassilon.
All right. Anyway, that is our news. There is not much going on, of course. The Doctor Who website has basically posted a Watch This Space, but hasn't posted anything more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all sitting here with bated breath going, tell us, tell us, tell us. Come on, goddammit, tell us.
Yeah. It is one of those things where I'm half expecting it to just be like, Series 12 starts on this day. It's like, you couldn't just tell us?
They want us to sit there, experience time all slow and in the right direction.
And in Doctor Who related fluff news, by the way, Catherine Tate apparently ambushed David Tennant at a recent con in Minnesota. Just dropped in as a complete surprise. And basically, I think she went into the crowd and raised her hand to ask a question. And basically asked David Tennant, who's your favorite companion? And David Tennant just looks at her and just gives that cheeky grin and goes, oh, that'd be Rose.
Ooh.
And she goes, well, that's fine, because my favorite Doctor is Chris Eccleston.
See, I'm a bit disappointed that she didn't do the "Do you fancy Billy Piper, sir?"
Oh, that would have been great. But still, that was just the great. Those two have great acting chemistry, and they keep showing up in each other's productions these days. So
Practically.
I was really waiting for Catherine Tate to make a guest appearance on Broadchurch. I really was, but no, that didn't happen. But Tate does, of course, play Magica De Spell in DuckTales, opposite David Tennant's Scrooge McDuck. And they were in a version of Much Ado About Nothing, where they were playing bickering lovers. I would have loved to have seen that.
What
Anyway.
happened to you? You ain't mating with me, sunshine.
All right. So this takes us down to our geek talk, where Thomas has a couple of movies that he wants to talk about.
Because it's funny, there would have been 3 because I was thinking of seeing Doctor Sleep this week, but I didn't get around to it.
Well, I'm going to warn.
I've seen it too, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it.
I'm going to warn you, Thomas. The first movie you're reviewing is one of my favorite movies of all time. Poo-poo it, and I will come to Australia just to beat the crap out of you.
Probably with a DVD copy that's surrounded in steel.
I mean, it'll literally be the scene from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, just knocking on the door. Thomas Fireheart, yes. Did you claim Excalibur was a bad movie? Yes.
With that being said, Thomas, you're on.
Yeah. It's so funny because I think at first when going into this, I was like, "Wait, is this that one Linkara likes?" And then I was like, "Oh no, wait, no, that's Camelot."
No, he likes both as far as I'm aware.
Probably, but I guess I think Camelot is like his favorite movie of all time.
Camelot is his favorite musical, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they made a movie out of the musical. I know because I had it.
But yeah, it was an interesting experience watching this, realizing who was playing Arthur, because it's like, oh, I vaguely know of you. I've seen you in a review I watched about a movie called The Lion in Winter, where you're basically playing this friggin' whiny idiot who wants to be king and all this. So it's kind of funny going from that, which might have been after this, and then this, as it's kind of by the end of it, I was kind of in awe of his of Nigel Terry's performance, just because it just finally clicked. Oh my god, this is a seamless transition that he's gone from Arthur as a teenager to Arthur as a wise old man guy, and it's just holy shit, he pulls this off really fucking well. Aside from that, a lot of the actors that I noticed was also wait a minute, is that? Holy shit, it is.
By the way, The Lion in Winter was a good 13 years before Excalibur.
So yeah, he graduated up to it.
That would make sense, because that would make sense, because I think Anthony Hopkins was in that, so he would have been pretty young when he did that. And it's funny because I remember that movie being described as the only way it could have been more shouty is if Brian Blessed was in it.
voices.
I think that movie had everyone else.
But yeah, it's so weird because I feel like I've seen so few movies based around the King Arthur stuff that this was just interesting to realize how much they crammed into this.
It is the most complete version of the Arthurian legend in movie form, because everything else takes a snippet from it and makes a movie out of it.
I was gonna say, I think the only live-action King Arthur movie I've seen involves banging coconuts together.
God damn it, Bill.
And even that, I mean, King Arthur's already established as a king in the Holy
Yeah.
Grail.
Mm-hmm.
So the early part of it's not there.
Yeah, and then, like the was it Disney that did the one where it's him as a kid,
Yeah,
but
Sword in the
not
Stone,
as
yeah.
an
But none of
adult
the
at
later
all.
stuff, yeah.
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 And then you've got, like, what was it? King's Knight or something like that. The one with Sean Connery. And that was a clip from, like, First Night, yeah.
First Night, yeah.
And that was, like, just a snippet from, like, the later part of the legend.
Yep.
Mm.
Very
So-
small
And then there
snippet.
was,
And Camelot, which we were talking about before, is a play based on, like, the second part of the legend. Pretty much from when Guinevere shows up to the end. But it doesn't deal with Arthur's childhood. And
Gotcha. Yeah, you said second part. I thought is it the story, the tale of Lancelot without Arthur being around at all?
I think Lancelot was already there. It wasn't the introduction to Lancelot. It was just the it was in that one. Guinevere was coming to Camelot, and I think Lancelot was the person escorting her. But it does deal with the fall of Lancelot, and yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how they fit so much in it without it feeling too much.
Yeah.
Like that's a really hard thing to pull off, because I was like, the longer it went, the longer I'm like, wow, are they going to the end with this? Like, holy shit. They've crammed a lot in here without it feeling like too much or
And it's only
feeling too slow.
And it's only just shy of 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's 140 minutes, so that's that's not a 3 to 4 hour movie. It's just a bit. It's just between 2 and 2.5 hours, and yet they cover pretty much the whole of the legend. And you don't feel like they're skipping.
Yeah, like all of the performances are great. It was always nice recognizing an actor, even though they weren't like a ton. Like the most obvious were like Liam Neeson, Helen Mirren,
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart, which was funny because it's like baby young Helen Mirren and young Liam Neeson, and then Patrick Stewart hasn't aged.
Patrick Stewart is immortal.
He ages backward.
Patrick Stewart has looked about the same age since 1975.
I'm pretty sure he looked younger in the early 2000s than he did in the 80s. So
that might have been the result of him going senile. Well, if you ever look at his character on Family Guy, you can't say the character's not senile.
Commander Wolf's head
I will
looks like a
say
fanny.
I will say though, it was kind of funny that a lot of stuff in this, just like as much as I didn't want to, it just kept making me think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, despite the fact that came out like 6 years before this movie.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like so many shots were just like, I'd almost see where they got that from, but wait, that came first, not this. Like when he gets to like Guinevere in the end, I'm just like, oh, I do quite like this scene. And like, Lady in the Lake having the sword come out, it's just like, some watery twat.
Bit throws a scimitar.
Bit that throws a scimitar at you. Yeah.
There's no basis for a system of government.
Yeah. Like it didn't take away from the movie flow, but it just kind of like kept happening. And there's like a bit that just I laughed way harder than I thought I would, but there's a bit where like O Fortuna, a bit of O Fortuna starts playing, and then like as they're charging, and it's like, listen, and then they cut to the music, but then when they cut back to them, the music's like quieter. So it's like, wait, is the music actually coming with
Oh, yes, the movie that basically turned that into trailer music. Oh, yeah, I love this movie. I really like Nicole Williamson's Merlin in this.
Oh yes.
Mm.
I only
seems
keep
like-
catching like the last half hour of this movie, but he stands out no matter what.
Yeah.
You feel that?
If,
That is the coils of the dragon. Yeah, it's just
it's
great stuff.
almost. Yeah,
I-
it's almost as
Are
if
you
like
a dream,
he's
Merlin?
kind
A dream to some, a nightmare to others.
Yes.
Like in certain bits, I kept thinking, God, it's almost as if like he combined Old Man Obi-Wan with like Yoda
Kinda.
somehow. And it's like, but it's also like, it's just so enjoyable because you realize that he's clearly having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I believe that there was some stuff in Doctor Who when we covered what was it with Morgana. Battlefield.
Battlefield.
Yeah, there's some stuff in Battlefield that
Hmm.
actually sounded like it might have been mentions to Excalibur as well. I'm just like, oh, that's kind of interesting, imprisoning Merlin. Yeah, you never
Would
imprison
make
Merlin.
sense.
There's always a leak.
Hmm. I guess it would make sense since that was still the 80s.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a possibility that they were referencing it slightly.
So here's an interesting little piece of information. The director John Borman cast him opposite Helen Mirren, despite both actors protesting. The two had previously appeared on stage in Macbeth with disastrous results, and they hated each other.
Ooh. I think I might have heard of that a little bit.
It was the director's hope that the very real animosity between them would generate more tension between them on screen.
Mm.
Well, I'd say it worked because I actually enjoyed their scenes. So
Mhm.
I wonder what your
sound
thoughts
like
were
they
after
did.
the fact.
Interestingly, according to Helen Mirren, she and Williamson, free from the problems with Macbeth, wound up becoming very good friends during Excalibur.
Dang.
So there you go. They could still draw on that when they needed it, but yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? It's actually not too bad being on this movie. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy.
It's like, oh, I guess it really wasn't you. I guess it was the director of Macbeth. That bastard.
That bastard. Now we know who to blame. It's not you at all. Yeah, it's not you either. Guilty.
But yeah, I would definitely. I'm definitely glad that I got to see this on the big screen, and I would definitely recommend people check this out. Like it is definitely.
it
Yeah,
is.
I do need to find some time to sit down with my DVD.
If you have never seen Excalibur, it is definitely worth sitting down and just taking 2.5 hours and watching it. Make some popcorn, sit down, make some popcorn, get a soda, sit down, watch the movie, especially if you have a large screen television. A lot of the
Do
music
people
in
know
there,
what televisions are anymore?
yes,
There's
some
plenty
people
of them,
do.
though. Yes,
I think they watch movies on their tablets.
Not everybody. That's just you.
that's just you, Bill, and not to
Well, I
mention
watch
there's
movies
also
on my phone.
Bill.
There's a
There's
difference.
Bill. Cease and desist. There's also gaming consoles.
Yes. So there are still people that own 70-inch
Which
plasma.
have screens now.
I mean,
Plasma screen TV.
yes, a 70-inch plasma screen TV with Netflix. I believe this is on Netflix because I think I watched it on there at least once. It was either on Netflix or Hulu, or it was on some streaming service, and I didn't have to pay for it. So it's an enjoyable watch, especially if you're fond at all of the Arthurian legends. This is the most, like I said, the most complete version of it.
Also, it's a very artsy fartsy movie.
It is. A lot of the music was stolen from Ring Cycle. Which, Wagner, it makes it feel more epic. Really does. And then there's some other pieces like O Fortuna, which have become trailer staples.
I mean, I assume Randy's seen the cover. How many of you have seen the cover to Excalibur?
Of course, I've seen it. I've seen like at least 3 versions of the cover to Excalibur.
Here's the one I always grew up with. I'm sharing it in the chat.
Yeah,
As
that was
compared to sometimes growing up with it.
Yeah, that's the poster they were using for the stuff I went to.
Yeah, that alone is some flashy shit that makes it go, that's interesting looking.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I really love this movie. And I'm a very big fan of the Arthurian legend, which is why I had a copy of Camelot, why I had a copy of First Night, why I had a copy of Disney's The Sword and the Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had all of those. What's that?
Grew up with that one.
Yeah, I had all of those on a shelf. And my library contains a copy of La Morte d'Arthur, which is the big, most inclusive book on the Arthurian legend, even if it is a bit dry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know IMDb was crediting that as the book that this was based on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still, it cuts stuff out of there, but it cuts the fat really out of the book.
It cuts the unnecessary stuff and gives you the raw stuff you need.
Yeah, you really don't need to know the story of the Green Knight to continue with the legend, but it's in there. You also don't need to know all the freaking tournament jousting scores,
right?
Which Thomas Mallory posted in nauseating detail in the book.
Yeah, King Arthur is one of those legends where you get the impression that a lot of it is the adult equivalent of bedtime stories. It's just like there's on and about, something for every day, and not all of it actually is story.
Well, the Arthurian legend, some of it was stolen from Danish Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Green Knight is literally a transfer over from Beowulf.
Beowulf is one that I'm not as familiar with as I should be.
I've got the basics. I don't know the details, though.
Yeah, and the Arthurian legend is one that had a basic story that got slowly added to over the course of many, many centuries.
Right.
Excalibur and Lancelot were not the original parts of the story, but were added as embellishments later in the tale. So, it's kind of... And, of course, there's, the theory that King Arthur's based on a real person. If so, then what we have here is tall tales based on an actual person.
Yeah, at best. And I believe, you mentioned Norse, but I also believe there's a lot of it that came from, like, Spain and Italy, wasn't there? Like, there's some sort of mixture of European stuff in there.
I've heard that there's some French stuff.
There's some French stuff,
which would make sense because the history of England pre-Arthur is France.
Yeah, there's some stuff that came over from the Norman conquest, and I think that might be where the tale of Lancelot got added into the tale.
Matter of fact, the fact that it was that the Arthurian lore is such a hodgepodge of crazy things is the reason why Tolkien decided to make his own fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make something that's purely British. Dang it!
Except he wound up
Instead, he still took hints from other places. Yeah.
He stole ideas from all over Europe too. So he just altered them a bit before.
He just altered them a bit and just made it. It's my brand of it now.
Danish or something? No, Finnish. That's what it was. One of the languages he used was either Finnish or was loosely adapted from Finnish.
Probably adapted from Finnish.
It's ideas he got while he was abroad in World War I.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be abroad? Oh. Not that kind of abroad.
Bill, don't make me smack the back of your head. Get violent today.
Anyway, so I think that's what we have to say about Excalibur.
That went on
Good
for a
movie.
bit.
This is what
Moving right
happens
along.
when you. This is what happens when you talk about a movie that's loved by a few of us. You're not going to have that problem with the next one.
It's funny because when I decided to watch Hairspray, I was just kind of scrolling through the streaming service I have that lets me watch New Who, and I was just like, what am I in the mood to watch today? And I was just sitting on Hairspray for a while, and I'm like, do I
That sounds
want to give
painful.
this a try? It's like, do I want to give this movie a try? And at the end, I was just kind of like, fuck, why not? And I ended up really enjoying it. I had no idea what to expect. I had beyond surface level stuff. I didn't know what the story was about and all that, but ultimately it is quickly jumped up to probably not one of my favorite musicals, but it
Like a
with
top
repeated
10,
viewings
top
they could
15.
probably get up there. Yeah. This is definitely something that if I'm just having a shitty day, this will probably get into those ranks of if I'm having a shit day, I can throw this on and that'll cheer me up. Songs are all pretty good. I mean, it's weird having John Travolta was never the best singer, and depending on what he's doing, he's probably not the best dancer either. But I mean, he's an actor, so
Mm-hmm.
But I
Well,
must admit, it is
starts.
kind of
Funny enough, he started
interesting.
acting in a musical movie, essentially.
It is kind of interesting to see him try to put on a voice because he's playing the main character's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a voice, but then still try to sing while doing that voice and dance while wearing a fat suit. It's just I mean, he's given it a go, so good on him. And that is the whole shtick, because in the original John Waters movie, which is so weird knowing what he's known for, it's so weird that John Waters of all people made the movie that this musical came from. A drag queen played the mom in that, so they just kind of, when they made the musical, they were just like, fuck it, we'll keep that going. A guy in drag will always play the mom.
Why not?
So, and that just kind of stuck. Because the idea was the drag queen played a character out of drag as well as the mom.
Oh.
But in the movie they cut that character entirely. But in the stage musical, the character shows up, I think. But yeah, songs are all pretty good. I don't really remember there being any that bothered me or were oh, this is kind of crap. I do actually kind of love how the opening song, Good Morning Baltimore, it's mainly just her singing and dancing and stuff, but everyone else is just kind of going about their day. No one joins in. And everyone's just kind of looking at her. And, I think there's even a few times where people are just kind of looking at her funny, what the fuck is she doing? And then there's other numbers where you'll get the typical everyone just kind of joins in and dances and stuff. But yeah, good movie. I would definitely say that if you are a fan of musicals, this is worth a shot. And hell, the dad is played by Christopher Walken, so that's fun. You get to see Christopher Walken and John Travolta in a fat suit in drag doing a duet. That's honestly pretty. That's kind of worth it.
Yeah,
But
that's a
is there a
weird
cowboy?
side note. And this is what, their second movie together now?
Oh yeah, that didn't even occur to me. It's oh yeah, shit, they were both in Pulp Fiction.
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
Though of course, Christopher Walken actually gets to dance in this one. I must say, one other thing that I found interesting was in the original Hairspray, the main character is played by Ricky Lake, like talk show host Ricky Lake, and she has a cameo in this, and I could immediately tell it was her. Like, even with the big 60s hair wig thing that they would have put on her, it's just like, shit, is that Ricky Lake? Holy crap! Apparently, there were like a few other ones. John Waters has a cameo like right near the start and stuff like that. But yeah,
The only thing I really know about Hairspray is that one of my favorite comedians played the John Travolta role in one of the stage versions. Sadly, that comedian also passed away, I want to say now like 5 or 6 years ago. But he had some fun stories, mostly about trying to dress up for the first time and his toes going right through the stockings. Apparently, I got box cutters for toes.
But yeah, like I would definitely say if people are into musicals and that, give this a shot.
I
So
remember
long as
people
like
praising it quite a bit at the time when it first came out too.
yeah, like so long as the whole, because like the whole thing basically is centered around racial integration. So if that is off-putting to you, then yeah, this ain't the movie for you. But you know, it worked for me. I was more so surprised. I was like, wait, the musical Hairspray is about racial integration? Okay, cool. That's different. At least I'd never heard of a musical like that before, so it was like, okay. And it plays out pretty well, so yeah, I would generally say go.
Whatever works as
give
long
it
as it's a
shot.
good show. All right, that's it.
This also makes the second movie musical I've seen that has Queen Latifah in a blonde wig, so that's also interesting.
Okay.
All right.
She was in Chicago as well.
I am aware of Chicago. Not seen it or anything. I'm aware of it though.
I'm aware of things too.
I don't know. It just the movies or the musical never really appealed to me because I just didn't like that 60s slice of life.
Yeah,
because I think by the time it was out, I was trying to avoid anything to do with the 60s. Having spent the last few years listening to nothing but 60s stuff, I was ready to move on.
I gotcha.
That's fair enough. I mean, the music is definitely trying to be as can, I think, or at least 60s musical as it can. So, I mean, there's literally a song called "Welcome to the" in this. So.
All right, so let's move on to our weekly rant section. We don't always have a rant, but if we have one, it's put here. And it's time. And this time it's Matt instead of me because I'm usually the loudmouth of the group. And he wants to talk about all the problems and foibles that YouTube has been having.
Trying to bring it up. Here we go. We'll use this image. Just a TV with YouTube on it. So actually, it's technically a far-reaching thing that technically concerns our show as well. Even though we stream here on Twitch, we do upload all of our videos as backlogs to YouTube as well. And there's at least a good 2 of us. So half our crew currently here also still have active channels, and I believe this show goes on to Bill's channel, I believe, right?
Unearthly Podcast channel.
You have it on Unearthly Podcast channel, but yeah, you would still technically run it though.
Right.
So there's been just a huge slew of weird things coming down the pipeline from YouTube. I'm going to back things up a little bit and go with the shorter stuff that also came a little bit further back, and we'll get to the more recent stuff. The first thing that happened to start this huge rampage of weird stuff is someone cracked the code to YouTube's how it runs channels. It found out about a point value system, which is counted on every channel. Like, I'm not sure on the specifics, but supposedly this is the point values given to channels, and they'll take or give you things depending upon how long videos are. how many views it gets, how many lines you cross. Like, do you cuss in your video before like the first 5-10 minutes? Slap on the hand, you lose points. The other thing that they found out about, and it's been rumored that this has been a thing, even though YouTube has solidly denied that it's ever been a thing, is that there was legitimately code inside of YouTube about throttling channels. And it doesn't even completely attach to the actual point value either. There's like various other reasons that they would use this code to throttle channels, to which it was literally called channel throttle, and yeah, that just proves that YouTube has been lying a lot about that. To which I would say within about 48 hours after this leak was found for their website code, it was altered so that none of these things were visibly findable on people's channels anymore. So that was a weird leak and some rather annoying news. Then after that happened, we have an issue. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah, there's an issue going around now because the adpocalypse has happened how many times on YouTube? Like 2 or 3 times at this point. People have been essentially trying to get paid advertisements for their channels directly through companies, and in which case companies will even go to YouTubers that they think make enough attention and sell their ads to them, and they'll give them money as long as they do a certain amount of minutes and maybe play an ad video in the middle of their video. Apparently someone's been faking being a company trying to sell, I believe it's like cloud gaming, and another one I think was trying to sell essentially a one of those VPN things. And in of the 4 cases I'm aware of, 2 of them were larger channels and a couple of them were smaller channels. All of them decided to test the product before they would sell it, and suddenly came down with a bug that got into their channels and literally stole their accounts away. A couple of them even got their emails stolen, but the last couple were able to act fast enough to at least save their email accounts, but were not fast enough to save their YouTube accounts, which have been being sold essentially on the digital black market in foreign countries to people so that they can try and make a quick buck on a now captured and unusable channel. And this stuff, by the way, is so powerful that it counteracts even the there's like, you know how you have a login and you can have like a dual login thing? It even counteracts anything that would block. That's how nasty this particular stuff was.
So I remember seeing somebody trying to get YouTube support on Twitter's attention, posting about how someone had taken their channel and was uploading videos to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be one of the things that was going on. There was one guy, it literally took 2-3 months before the YouTube finally came in and finally gave the guy his channel back and allowed him to fix things up. I don't think his videos got deleted, thankfully. However, the next case I heard of, all of his channel's videos were removed, and they had sold it off to somebody who started to post a couple of things onto it before they finally got back to him about a month later and finally gave it back to him. And I've just now heard of another gal who's a gamer. I want to say she might be from Europe, but I can't say for sure. She had a bit of an odd accent, but she's a smaller channel despite being a gamer and seemingly doing well for herself. And apparently she's had to make essentially a hostage video pleading with YouTube to please give her back her channel, because she managed to save her email, but she's lost everything else and she needs it back. And it's just like, the fact that YouTube takes more than a week to fix this stuff is horrific, to be honest. So be extremely careful who you accept emails from, because apparently, despite the broken English in some of these emails, I've been told that there are multiple places that still have slightly broken English like that. So it's not unusual, because occasionally you'll get companies from Europe who don't English as well in text, and they'll still come off as a legit company. Oh, actually, I'm going to slip this one in because I forgot about this one and just remembered it. I want to say earlier this week / late last week, another very popular YouTuber, not PewDiePie level, but close to it, is Markiplier. And apparently he had just done a special with YouTube where he did a Choose Your Own Adventure series, essentially. And he was actually live streaming, playing through it, and allowing the people in the chats to vote where they were going to go next. Apparently spamming emotes not only just blocked people out of their YouTube accounts, but blocked them completely out of their Gmails, rendering their accounts completely useless at Google for at least, I want to say, somewhere in the vicinity of 5 days, depending on who you were.
Oh, wow. That could get someone fired from their job.
Yeah, that's some serious shit that went down. And Markiplier, who is normally a very calm guy, even when angry on his channel, was on the verge of shouting on his channel when he found out about this stuff and was talking about it. He was extremely angry. It's very rare to see Markiplier that angry. So he was quite brutal with the tongue lashing, but he did make an update video, I want to say 2 days ago, stating that almost all, if not all, of the accounts have been finally returned back to them. And also to add the sugar on top of this is it took Markiplier shouting at them to actually do something about it. Meanwhile, there were people who were still trying to get their things in, saying, "Hey, I shouldn't have been blocked," and were getting unblocked. And someone would come in like an hour later and say, "No, wait, you should have still been blocked." It's just what the hell.
Mm-hmm.
It really is one of those things where you kind of wish a viable alternative was there, but
there's places trying to get those viable alternatives working, but it's a very, very slow burn to get there because, to be honest, YouTube just kind of cornered that market.
Yeah.
But then the latest and biggest one, which is affecting us, and the one that Bill in particular wanted me to cover, is that they have added a new child-friendly safety measure onto all YouTube channels, and I believe actually it hit me yesterday, although they officially all happened today. And essentially what this means is that now, not only does your channel have to go through all the videos, which thankfully they did have a pop-up that says, "Hey, do you want to is there something you want to place on all your videos on your channel?" And you can safely assume what the general majority of them are going to be labeled as. But essentially, the first question in this new setup is this made for kids? As in, is this like Baby Shark level of kid-friendly stuff, or is this meant for older people? In which case, a massive majority of YouTube is going to have to say no, which means they're already going to suffer a lack of views now because of that, because YouTube just likes to find stuff like that and then slap people's hands for it. And at least that's what the feeling is from a lot of people that have been talking about it. And then the next further step is, should this be for only 18 and up, or is this safe for everyone in general? Even if it's not aimed directly at kids. Which again could even be a further slap, but there's stuff like Max Payne where I'm like, I better label it 18 plus because otherwise who the hell knows what they're going to think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it would be nice if there was an in-between. It wasn't just, it has to be for kids, and if it's not for kids, it's basically you can only really flag it as being for adults. So it's like,
well, like I said, the first thing is, is it for kids? In which case, if it's not, you can at least leave it at that, and it's not going to be like popping up on a kids playlist or something. Yeah. But then the next thing is that they want to go, hey, is this safe for under 18? And it's just like, well, I would say actually closer to 16, but you're not giving me a better option.
That's one thing where I was kind of wondering what the penalties are for having your stuff labeled as for kids, because like I know one producer who
you don't know what the penalties are?
All of his stuff got labeled as being for kids, even though like he like swore on his videos and like regular shit like that.
I was gonna say, I mean, how many F-bombs have we dropped over the course of
and I made sure.
On top of all this, by the way, there's actually an automated system going around, by the way, checking if things are made for kids or not. To which people are already getting nervous because they're labeled as stuff as not made for kids. But what happens if you have Pokemon? Or in recent news, what happens if you have Sonic the Hedgehog all over your stuff on your video? Literally, the news channel I've mentioned to you guys a couple of times before, because they're covering Sonic the Hedgehog, they decided they needed to add in like clips from Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff in order to go, hey, this ain't just for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just to
So
make
yeah,
sure.
so like what happens with ours if YouTube's algorithm sees, oh, even though you said it's not for kids, we see that you have a Doctor Who logo, which is clearly a show that kids are able to watch, and therefore we're going to relabel all your shit.
Well, that's the fault on them. But the big thing is that apparently, if you suddenly don't meet the standards and you get caught, it's a $4,000 fine per video.
Ouch.
What?
Yeah.
And mind you, a lot of these people that pump out content make multiple videos in a day.
Mm-hmm.
That means, let's say they make 3 videos a day and they've been doing it for 2 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of people just going, no, this is bullshit. You're just going to try and find some way to delete my channel, and I might as well just jump out now.
Mm.
And suddenly they get a bill that says they owe them $3 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretty much
That's the
labeled my entire
millennial
channel not for
experience
kids, and I've
already.
labeled some of my newest stuff only 18 and up because of like Max Payne, but it's like, I can't go through my entire library.
Mm.
And I guarantee you, someone's going to get hit by that fine, and someone's not going to be able to pay it, and they're going to have to go through some hefty lawsuits and shit for it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous, this sudden jump in this need for this. It's like, couldn't you just manage this better on your own? And you know what the real problem is? Do you know why this actually happened, by the way? Because YouTube kept bragging that they're the best and biggest used internet place for children.
Mm.
This is literally YouTube's fault, and we're getting this bullshit wrapped around our necks
YouTube
for
is
it.
not a good place for unsupervised children.
Nope.
Mm.
Nope. And but YouTube wanted to brag anyways.
If YouTube wanted to do this, they should have made a section called YouTube Kids.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They do technically have that.
Mm.
But it takes only 2 clicks and you're suddenly out of it again.
And everything relies on
Mhm.
algorithms, so like you could probably like make a KKK indoctrination video, upload it to YouTube Kids, and be like, oh, quick, okay, I'm done.
And you'll just hide it with like cutesy animals and stuff. Yeah, that's some horrific garbage right
Mhm.
there.
I'm pretty sure there's also been a ton of stuff that like uses kid-friendly imagery, but clearly isn't for kids, but is still
Yeah.
put through it.
Literally,
Yep.
case in point, don't hug me, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You don't get to the nightmarish thing until like halfway through a video.
Mm.
And it's usually a 5 to 10 minute long video at the very least.
Oh, God. I could imagine what Happy Tree Friends would do.
Oh, and Happy Tree Friends, yeah. And Dr. Tran.
Oh, Dr. Tran's one thing. Happy Tree Friends really looks like it's a for kids thing until
I don't know.
get
Dr. Tran looks like it could be Dora the Explorer if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, but Happy Tree Friends in particular has that uber cutesy look.
Both of them have, but yeah,
Little, I mean,
there's the
for
cutesy
giggling
anthropomorphic
giggling
animals.
little animals until the
Mhm.
blood starts flowing.
Llamas with hats.
Mm.
Smiling, happy little
Smiley,
anthropomorphic.
happy, giggling little animals, and all of a sudden the green bear goes berserk because he has PTSD and starts killing
and starts
everybody.
ripping people apart. And
Mhm.
yeah. I don't know if any of you, the rest of you, have seen Happy Tree Friends. I know Matt and I have.
Oh yeah. I used to occasionally watch it. Like on the computer.
I remember my first experience with Happy Tree Friends. It's like, why am I getting a link sent to this saccharine little? Oh my God!
God,
I
I'm
believe
pretty
I was
sure a
probably
teacher
there just
actually
giggling
let
to
us-
myself.
I'm pretty sure a teacher once let us put it on the projector in the computer lab because they were just like, "Here's a thing you could do if you pursued this." What the fuck? It was like, holy shit! This teacher's usually really strict. Why are we being allowed to watch this?
I think I remember us showing it once in our off-topic room of our anime club.
Mm-hmm. I remember a few people going, "Oh my God!" by the end.
I just remember the. I'm like, oh my God, this is super saccharine-y. Oh my God, oh my God! Just the sheer level of shock when the blood started to flow, or somebody got impaled gorily through something. I'm like, because I think the first one I saw was with the moose.
Oh, the moose is in like half of them. Even if it's just a guest cameo.
But no, I mean, he was like the main character.
Just about.
And I think somebody got impaled on his antlers.
A couple of times, probably.
And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm just watching an eyeball pop out. I'm like, ah! And I think the person that showed it was our friend Jeff, who's just looking at me and grinning.
Oh, yeah. That would be something that Jeff would love to curveball you with and just see what the reaction is.
Yep. And yeah, I could see somebody posting Happy Free Friends to YouTube Kid, looking at it going, oh, look, it's a little kitty thing, and not seeing the 3 minutes in where the blood starts flowing.
Yeah, the parents literally start leaving the room as it just looks like this cutesy, happy, frolicky thing. And all of a sudden, as they're just about to leave the door, they start hearing screams of murder.
And the kids start crying, yeah.
Agua.
I'm realizing right now, I think we're a little
Off
behind.
Yeah,
we're a little bit behind and a little off topic. But yeah, long story short, there's a lot of stuff going on YouTube, and a lot of people are not happy. This is pretty much the reason why I keep trying to look for an alternative, why I originally went to VidMe, even though that sank, and why I'm still on BitChute, which I have heard more stuff about how the background of it is working. Apparently they have Patreon, and they also have another Patreon-like sub-service, which has been backed by like the same companies that do like porno sites and stuff. So they have their own secure background for at least helping to send people money when they make it and stuff. So it's just not like pouring out ads right now because you gotta try and convince people that you're the next YouTube first, you know.
Yeah, and the problem is that a lot of those sites tend to die before they become the next YouTube.
Right.
Yes, but I don't think that a lot of them have been as set up as BitChute is, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, the problem is that YouTube has become a giant.
It's a giant, and it literally throws its weight around way too much and kills a lot of others that should be there too.
I'm going to say the biggest YouTube alternative that sprang up was then sold and mismanaged and ran straight into the ground, which probably isn't good for creators that were hoping, for that opportunity, and is also not good for other entrepreneurs looking at that example like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that either.
YouTube's owned by Google, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's Google's side in the streaming war right now? Or are they just their own thing?
Oh, you mean what their streaming service is?
YouTube keeps making efforts to become a Netflix-style site, but at the same time, they know that
that's YouTube Red essentially. But YouTube also has its own streaming. So
okay, no, the reason I'm asking is because I can see something like Amazon or Disney's alliance basically trying to make their own YouTube competitor.
That's a possibility. Like I said, YouTube Red is essentially their answer to that, and they have actually legitimately good things. Like they actually made a.
It's not YouTube Red anymore.
Right.
Unless they renamed it, but that was the last I heard it was called.
I know Facebook was making a solid effort for a while to be a YouTube competitor, and there's still some videos on Facebook, but the public was basically like, LOL, no.
Yeah. No, that's a joke. But like they have legitimately shows like Cobra Kai, which is actually a sequel to the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah, it's
and
called
apparently
YouTube
legitimately
Premium
good.
Now. It's called YouTube Premium now.
Oh, they just call it Premium now. Ugh.
That's because they raised the price on it.
Of course they did. Of course they did, because they can't be greedy enough.
Because YouTube Red was only like $5-6. This is like 10.
Mm-hmm. I actually have that right now just because I don't have Wi-Fi at home, so the ability to download videos makes a huge difference when I'm sitting around at home.
I suppose if you also if you don't have the best bandwidth, you just download it and watch it whenever it's ready.
Yeah, my thing is I got YouTube Red back when it was YouTube Red, just because I didn't want the ads.
It's called ad blocker. I have no shame. I block while I watch my own videos.
Which, considering, that's supposed to be your own ad revenue, yeah.
Technically, I shouldn't be making money for myself anyway, but
Yeah, okay.
just
Anyway, I think we've had enough on that.
we've hammered that on YouTube, and we're
Okay,
depressed
so
enough.
it's time for a quick review of Shame here by Thomas for
Mhm.
Fear Her, which he was absent for last time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my favorite aspect was the kind of general setup of the whole thing, like kids are missing, what the fuck's going on, and like, I mean, obviously aliens are involved, but trying to figure out what's going on. Least favorite aspect is that this came, like, the longer I watch this, the more I'm like, this should be a Sarah Jane Adventures story, not a Doctor Who story. Of course, that didn't exist yet, but
I was about to say that.
But like, I can see this working better with Sarah Jane involved instead of the Doctor, but that's just me. Favorite scene. I ended up like I was just like thinking through the whole thing and just like, screw it. The only one I could really come up with was like when the Doctor shouts at them all to shut up and put a finger on their lips. Least favorite scene is like the sort of exorcisty scene, but only because of they have the kid delivering the dialogue in like a whisper, and it's like, no, like a different kid voice coming out of her mouth would have made more sense to me. Instead, it's just her whispering, so it just seems really silly. Final thoughts. It's like, yeah, this is something that, well, it's not anywhere near as bad as I remember it being, because this is something that when I'll rewatch Doctor Who stuff, I always skip this because I just don't care. It's not as bad. I'd say it's better than Love and Monsters easily. But still not quite there. I would still say that people could very easily skip this. Let's see. Just so I remember what I gave that.
Love and Monsters, you gave a 2.0.
Yeah. So I like this more than that. So let's see. Is it enough to give it a 3?
3
Yeah,
should
screw it.
be...
I'd say I'll give it 3.
Okay, because 3 is the average rating. I mean, should be middle of the road, mediocre.
Yeah.
Mediocre.
Meaning thus far, I'm the only one to give it under a 3, but that's because Bill, our resident critic, our low baller, hasn't reviewed this one yet, and is still very much behind. He's still missing one review from 2 seasons ago. And then missing...
Should I get a shame bell? I suddenly thought I should get a shame
11
bell.
reviews from last season.
Oof. That's a lot of shame bells.
Yeah. So he's still a dozen episodes behind the score.
God damn.
You hear that, Bill?
It's been very quiet.
He's frozen.
Ah.
Because it looks like he's talking, but nothing's happening.
Oh, heard something. Nope, never mind. I heard something for a moment, but it went away again. As quickly as it came. Anyway.
We're letting him know that we can't hear him, period.
Ah.
And while this is going on, it's Thomas's job to do the summary for the episode this week.
Choco Pop.
Well, doesn't look like he's talking anymore.
Anything?
There you are.
Yeah, now we can hear
Yeah.
you.
There we go.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Okay.
It's just it's like your icon was permanently talking, but we couldn't hear anything.
Odd.
Just frozen on.
Hmm.
All right. So Thomas, take us to the summary.
Yep. Okay.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, the Doctor brings Martha home roughly 12 hours after they initially left several episodes ago. With the Doctor meaning to leave, only to come back due to something they overheard on the TV, where a man claimed that he's going to change what it means to be human. The Doctor accompanies Martha to the unveiling of a man named Richard Lazarus' latest experiment. The machine goes haywire during the trial, and due to interference from the Doctor, it actually manages to work, with Lazarus emerging looking far younger than he previously did, probably about 30 years younger or so. Lazarus starts to exhibit, later on, pretty much immediately, Lazarus starts to exhibit signs that something must have gone wrong, causing the Doctor and Martha to investigate, realizing that the machine has messed with his genetic makeup and is continuing to mutate his DNA. At the same time, Lazarus transforms and seemingly can Lady's business partner, leaving her as a dry husk of a corpse that the Doctor and Martha find. Realizing Lazarus might be going after Tish next, they follow them up to the roof, with Lazarus transforming again and chasing them upstairs, getting Martha to unlock the doors to let the guests escape because the building had gone into lockdown. Although one guest is also consumed before the Doctor can lead him away. After getting all the guests out, Martha returns to help the Doctor just as he has attempted to blow up Lazarus, failing to do so. The Doctor and Martha end up hiding in Lazarus' machine, which he tries to turn on to kill them, but the Doctor ends up allowing it to backfire on him, making the energy blast outwards, seemingly killing him. He ends up escaping, however, from the ambulance that he has been taking away in, and they realize that he's heading for a cathedral he's mentioned before. Martha and Tish going with the Doctor despite their mother's protests. After confronting the Doctor and Lazarus, after a confrontation between the Doctor and Lazarus, Martha and Tish lure Lazarus up to the bell tower, with the Doctor amplifying the church organ to mess with Lazarus, causing him to fall to his death and turn human and old again. The Doctor and Martha go back to her apartment, and after some back and forth, the Doctor makes it clear he wants Martha to keep traveling with him. And the episode ends with Martha's mum calling her to warn her about the Doctor, saying Harold Saxon told her he's dangerous and that she isn't safe. Done.
All right. 2 minutes, 38 seconds.
Nice.
Whew.
Brief summary.
Boom, boom.
All
Yeah,
right.
This is why I'm glad that I've started writing stuff down that I can just read out.
Mhm.
All right. So let's talk about what we liked about this episode. Bill, you are first.
I saw my name there, and I was hoping it was because you hadn't rolled the dice yet.
No, it's because I rolled the dice. Thank you.
I've been sitting here thinking of a lot of things I dislike listening to the summary, and I've been struggling to come up with something that I really wanted to pick as something that I liked. So I guess I'm going to go with I like the hints for the season plot. I think they're suitably ominous, and that it makes you really wonder what the hell's going on, and that, of course, it's going to be paid off in the three-parter season finale, which we've already reviewed.
Yeah, and this was the mid-season drop episode. This is, usually during the Russell T. Davis, there's the beginning, which sets the ball up, and then there's the mid-season, which, heavily insinuates.
And I like how they, at the beginning of the episode, they kind of even spell it out for you. Like if you forgot where in the season this was, they basically said, "Oh yeah, the moon happened, New York happened, Old New York happened, and Shakespeare happened." So pretty much puts you direct, lets you know exactly where you are in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
All right, Tim, how about you? What
Dalek
did you
already
like?
shoved a man up his ass.
That's terrible.
What did you like about the episode, Tim? And let's not talk about Dalek ass.
Oh, I really liked just the Doctor himself interacting with Martha, and sort of like coming to accept Martha as her own person.
Okay.
And not just,
Not just the
like
one tripper. Yeah.
the one cripper.
All right. Yeah, it's a good cycle because this is the episode where it's like, yeah, you're no longer just a guest for a trip or two. You're going to be on as a full-fledged companion. Yeah. All right, Matt. What did you like about the episode?
This might be a little bit of an odd one. I actually liked Mark Gatiss in this.
Damn it. Got this far.
Snatched it. Didn't see that one. But man, does Mark Gatiss really layer it on? Like he does a really good job in the old man makeup and tries to play it up with the old man stuff.
I think he does a better job stealing the scene as an actor than as a writer, to be perfectly honest.
I was about to say that. He should give up writing and just stick to acting.
Mm-hmm. He does an amazing job as an old man. He does an amazing job coming off as this new energetic version of himself. And then he adds on just these nice subtle weirdities as he's suddenly getting used to his new body, and then everything starts to continue to go wrong. He does a good job acting like he's going into pain before he transforms. And there's a few other little moments here and there that I won't steal from, but he just his job in this episode altogether is just amazing. It's surprising he hasn't decided to focus on acting.
All right, Thomas, how about you? Now that Matt stole yours, can you come up with a secondary?
Well, I'll cheat and just go with the character in general that he was playing.
Lazarus?
Because I like that as much as they still are like, well, yeah, he's still a month.
Oh, sure.
Severe PTSD of World War II stuff to kind of humanize him a bit.
It's something that Moffat forgot to do in his era of writing is give the villain a reason for being a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It frequently just became I'm evil because I'm evil.
Yeah.
And it's a very humanization piece that he's doing this because he faced death in World War II and never wanted to face it again.
Faced in World War II as a child, I might add.
So, and it's also funny because it's like, we reviewed The Idiot's Lantern recently, and one of our issues with the dad is that he's just so one-dimensional, and this is like the exact opposite of that.
Oh, yeah.
And that was Gatiss. Full circle.
Yeah, that was a Gatiss written episode where he basically wrote the dad as Vernon Dursley without any real redeemable qualities or reason for being that way. And yeah, here this one, which is of course written by Stephen Greenhorn, gives the character a lot more in depth by giving him a reason for being this way.
Yeah.
All right. As for me, I liked the Doctor's interaction with Lazarus. That very, dropping hints that what was going on was wrong to the point where he's actually facing him when he's gone back to being human and trying to show him that this is not the way. And kind of the dead look in his eyes when he's doing it. I thought it was a really good Tennant acting bit. And was kind of really poignant to the situation. Especially when he talks about being so old that you just kind of get tired of everything. Watching all your friends and everybody turn to dust. It's just kind of Yeah, I thought that was a nice emotional scene. And it's, but that it's a build off of all the other interaction scenes with Lazarus before him. So if that scene had just been there by itself, it wouldn't have worked as well without all that build up.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue. Well, actually, are you done with that, or?
Yeah, because now we go to what we dislike about
so
the.
That's a good segue because I'm pretty sure I'm up next. Because I think I've settled on what the top thing of what I dislike the most is that I don't think that they developed the doctor's argument enough. I think it's like
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to correct this. There we go.
messing with nature or something like the same sort of arguments that an anti-vaxxer might use, and it didn't strike me right. Like I got what they were going for, but I didn't think it was executed properly.
I don't really see that at all, Bill. Just to let you know.
I think his ultimate thing was just like humans are meant to die at some point, like trying to cheat death.
And that's part of like
to him not human.
And that's part of what I mean is that what's the difference between the way he presented that argument and an argument against curing cancer in 70-year-olds or curing heart disease in 50-year-olds? What's the difference between that argument and saying that humans should die at 40?
Let's not talk about heart disease in 50-year-olds because I'm looking at that.
Sorry.
You gotta kind of look
Don't
close
do that.
to the heart there.
Don't go there.
You get my point. Like, what's the difference between saying humans need to die at 80, for example, and humans need to die at 40, 100 years ago? The way the argument was presented, I did not see the difference in the argument.
I was seeing it more along the lines of the doctor was basically looking at something that's basically going to create its own version of Miracle Day. As much as we hate the story about Miracle Day, the concept of what if people just stop dying was an actual valid concept.
Yeah.
And the problems that causes.
Right. And I wish if he had focused. I wish he had focused more on that than on some of the arguments that he did make.
All right, Tim, what did you dislike about the episode?
I really disliked in this episode Martha's mom.
Oh, she's a bitch.
Yes, like
always the mothers.
I pretty much disliked her throughout the entire season, but here she comes across as very, if not poorly written, just stereotypical, typically overbearing mom.
And no, it's not always the mom. For all of her faults, I like Jackie.
No, I like the doctor when I said that.
But no, I like Rose's mom. She's a very good, well-rounded character. Whereas Martha's mom just comes off as a complete and total bitch, and that never changed. And that never changes throughout the entire run with Martha. Is she's always this snipey bitch that blindly follows Saxon's advice. And eventually it comes back to bite her in the ass. But even after it comes back to bite her in the ass, she's still not a better person.
Yeah.
At least Donna's mother is well-meaning. She's not really bitchy, but she's not really the adventurous type either. So, and I mean, yes, she gets a little hostile towards the doctor at the end, but then again, Donna just lost a fuck ton of memories.
And the doctor gives her a good telling off too.
So it's I I think Donna's mom's character is more realistic, whereas this one's just pure bitch. And I mean, you meet her, she's a snipey, evil person who's just gotten through a divorce, and
she's extremely negative and gullible too.
Yeah, it just you get to this character, it's like, no wonder your husband divorced you. You're a bitch.
Yeah.
There's also one of those things where it's like, wait, if she's always like this, why is Martha so happy to see her then?
It's still her mom, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Matt.
One assumes that her mother treats her better, but anyway, thing I didn't care for overall, I'm gonna have to say that the Lazarus monster wasn't that great. I mean, there's some good shots of it here and there, but there's a lot of really iffy CG.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like, I just remember, this wouldn't be out of place in like a PS2 era Resident Evil.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
basically, it's a PS2 Resident Evil monster, and it's just like,
it's obvious they didn't get Cronenberg to do this.
Mm-hmm. Cronenberg would have demanded better effects.
Mm-hmm.
Cronenberg would have used practical effects, and I'm pretty sure this did not at all.
Practical effects are better effects.
At least not for the they might have used practical effects for the bodies, but not for the monster.
I mean, could you imagine this episode if they had gotten David Cronenberg to come over from Canada?
Oh God!
Oh God! They couldn't show this on Family Time.
The kids would have been hiding under the sofa.
That should be their goal.
I'm saying not behind, under.
Yeah, kids will officially be having nightmares.
I would have loved to have seen this with, decent special effects as a human body horror thing.
So yeah, something more on the level of The Fly would have been much more effective.
And instead, it's poorly CGI with yet just that. I mean, heck, I find the Rick and Morty Cronenberg's more scary than this thing.
Mm-hmm.
At times, yeah.
All right. Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike about it?
God. As morbid as it sounds, lack of victims, because there's a bit in the doctor's spiel later where he's like, oh, what if any of the people you killed were? And it's like, we only get like 2?
No, we get more like 5.
There's a few red shirts that we only see as corpses.
Yeah, because there was a whole bunch of the ambulance workers that died too.
There's there's at least 2 to 3 ambulance workers. There's the gal that worked with him in the office, and then there's the one that he killed on the way to the front exit.
EMTs cannot get a break in Doctor Who. First possessed by the Master.
No, the only
killed by Gatiss.
The only people that dealt with it worse is under RTD is Unit.
Yeah,
because Unit got its ass kicked by within one episode, and then it just proceeded to make themselves look like an asshole this season. Yeah, and then proceeded to make themselves look more like an asshole next season. It wasn't until the Moffat era that Unit got redeemed, and that is one thing I will give Moffat credit for, is he brought back an effective, decent Unit team with Stewart's daughter and Osgood, and people that you didn't mind actually seeing instead of these,
and were competent.
Instead of these trumped up, self-pompous, self-righteous assholes that we got during the Unit era, or the ones that showed up to a conference and promptly died in Aliens of London.
Right.
Because, of course, Russell T's biggest thing was to make Torchwood the new Unit. All right. It would have been nice to have a Unit spin-off during the Moffat era, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would have been cool. I wish he could have swung that instead of working on Sherlock.
Oh, well. Either way, it wouldn't have done very well because of how stretched she already was.
All right. Whose was last? Was it Thomas's or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to what I disliked. Honest to God, I really didn't like Lazarus as much as the rest of you did. Just the fact that yes, okay, he's wanting to flee death, but he's also incredibly shallow.
He is a dick. He's a very obvious and giant freaking a-hole.
Of course, just the whole fleeing from death concept is basically Voldemort's thing. But the fact that he sees the expend, yeah, that's what really kind of ticked.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he might not have been that far gone until this.
Liked it even though if he'd had a small group of people he cared about and fuck everybody else. Yeah.
It would have been interesting if they had done the juxtaposition kind of like a lot. I mean, I've been kind of thinking of this as a version of a vampire story. If they had done the idea where, like before his change, there was this core group of people he would sacrifice anything to protect. And then like the way you see how far gone he is that he's trying to steal their life force. And then eventually he like lets the doctor kill him or something to stop that or something.
But still,
well, like even as part of his added motivation, you could say like everyone else that he gave a shit about is dead, so like he's got more of a thing against like, well, fuck you.
Okay, I'm going to disconnect from the call and try and reconnect.
Okay, so favorite scene. Bill.
So I think my favorite scene, I'm not but I like the scene where where they're talking about the Blitz, and he's like, you're he's like, oh, you read about the Blitz? Oh no, I was there. You're too young. Yeah, so are you. And it seems like Lazarus is finally starting to get some of the big picture, and I like that. He's not
I was almost waiting for Tenet to drop the, I have 903. I've seen that, that kind of bomb, but he never does.
You could tell he almost wants to.
Tim.
I listen to the scene. Get away from him! He's a monster! Oh, I know there's an age difference, but I'll make it work like Catherine Zeta-Jones.
All right, Matt.
Funny thing.
Gosh, favorite scene. Oh, actually, a nice callback was the doctor's like, you know what? We should really actually investigate what actually happened in there. We need to see on their computers and see what they've been up to. And I wondered if there's anything else we could do. And all of a sudden, Martha's just like, oh, by the way, I got his DNA because of the kiss he just landed on her hand. And he's just like, oh, you're brilliant. Yes. And they just run off to go check it.
The fact, though, that it's right on her hand, wouldn't it be contaminated by her own DNA?
I guess that depends. I don't know.
It depends. I mean, Time Lord Tech, I think you could extract. They have plenty of samples of Martha's DNA to
weed out what the different DNAs are. Yeah, one would assume. But yeah, just that it was a huge throwback to her first episode where he shared his DNA on her with that kiss earlier.
He muddled her DNA. Yeah,
muddled her DNA. Yeah.
All right. Thomas.
Bill took mine, so thankfully I did have a backup. And that is just like the scene where Lazarus and Lady Thor are kind of just staring out the window.
Come on.
That building, but then I used to live there, but then it got blown up during the Blitz. And like him going on about that, but her very clearly being like, oh, I was rich and privileged back then, so my parents had shipped me off to the country.
Actually, you didn't have to be rich and privileged. There were a lot of kids that were even.
Oh
middle
yeah, I guess
class
like
enough.
like generally her just being very flippant about it and like, oh, they'd already shipped me off to the country then, I was fine, and him just being like, yeah, well, fuck you, I had to live through that.
All right. So my favorite scene was Martha's chance to play the doctor with a sonic screwdriver. She's just like, security desk, where?
Will workplace work? I want you to work. Please open the door. Click. Oh my god, it worked.
You can tell that she's actually enjoying herself there.
For just the briefest of moments, and she's like, "Yes, I would."
All right. Least favorite scene. Bill.
Oh.
So I am going to go with either trying to remember the exact phrasing. Either you're going to keep seeing me or we're done. Because Martha, he's not seeing you. You're not a couple. Stop trying to make Martha Doctor happen. It's not going to happen. And it's just, I mean, I feel like this has been mentioned adequately enough, but...
Damn it, Bill, stop sinking her ship.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just,
they sunk her battleship again, Bill. Congratulations.
We
they
can fix her ship.
beat you over the head with both her and his obliviousness, and it's so like even this early on, like even arguably even in their second episode, it's so flanderized that it's hard to do anything other than cringe.
And like everyone else around can notice, but the doctor can't. It's like you would think
Right.
he would pick up on that.
Yeah, the doctor may be not human, but he's not dumb.
He can pick up on everything to do with Captain Jack.
Yeah, right?
All right. Okay, so is that still Bill? So Tim?
Least favorite scene? The scene when...
Come on.
Example of why her sister basically seems to have come out to be Nabiki Tendo.
Sorry, I had a momentary hang up there. What was Tim's?
The scene where they all have gotten out of the building and Martha doubles back to go find the doctor, and the mother's just like, she turned her back on us.
Yeah, okay.
It's just like, what a freaking bitch.
Yeah, literally me trying to save a person who saved us is me turning your back on you.
Yeah.
Talk about needy.
It would have been, I would have liked it better if the mother had been fine and okay with the doctor until she got those whispers in her ear.
Yeah, at least then she would have come off as a little bit less of a person, better of a person.
She would have come off as a little bit less of a bitch.
Or at least if she was suspicious, but otherwise like support.
Oh, for crying out loud. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to see.
Spending my time trying to get away from.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got medical school now. Bye. Not talking to you guys anymore. Yeah. Matt, your least favorite scene.
Okay. Least favorite. Actually, the scene where the Lazarus monster comes out into the main lobby after Olive Woman says there's nothing dangerous here, and literally the same character just sits there, screams a couple of times, just standing perfectly still, and just allows herself to be gobbled up. Like literally the entire scene, while the entire rest of the room panics to all 3 other sides of the room, she just stands there and screams. And we've had a hang up. Come on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Discord's not
not
acting up now. I'm gonna quickly leave Discord and come back.
Okay.
I don't know why it's just suddenly just constantly chugging. Here, let's do. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, let's try to redo this again because Discord is being a pain in the ass. Let's just completely shut down, restart it, and see how things go. Because it's not the internet blocking out. It's like something else keeps interfering with it, and it's not stopping the stream either. Oh! Is that why? Apparently, Discord is installing an update. Sorry, folks. Be just a moment. That was highly unnecessary of it to be bothering me in the middle of a call for an update. Alright, we seem to be recovering. Give me half a moment here. We should be back momentarily. It's loading up still. Come on. You're done for patch.
Okay.
Okay,
Apparently
I'm
Matt's
back. Apparently Discord suddenly had an update.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, mine updated right before I joined, so.
Okay,
It's
so
like
that's
when
probably
you're-
why I'm having difficulties. Well,
It's
maybe
like when
that's
you're
sorted
listening
now.
to a YouTube video and it just shuts off because YouTube decides that's the ideal time to update.
All
Well,
right.
you were missing it. I was about to break into the safety dance.
Oh, dang it. Oh, for God's
You
sake.
can dance if you want to.
Oh, there, now it's back. Why is it up with Discord? I don't know why it keeps doing this lately.
All right, so are we back on stream
Hopefully it'll stay stable. I don't know. It's flaked out once already again.
now?
No, it's going again.
Yeah.
For crying out
was-
loud. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's flaked out twice now. I don't know what's up with Discord. Like Discord will work perfectly fine almost all day, every day, and then all of a sudden, sometime in the evening, it just starts being a pain in the neck. Ugh, and it's doing it again. And it's doing it again. Okay. Go. Before we have any more issues, just go. We're never
Okay.
gonna move.
Whose go was it?
No, I
was
just finished,
me.
I believe.
Shit. You know what? Oh, god damn it. I think I had one, but now it's on, so yeah, I'm just gonna pause.
Okay, you're gonna pass.
Okay. God damn it. Waiting.
I didn't like the ending because it just seemed way too Deus Ex.
Mm.
You know, where he's using the screwdriver with a freaking pipe organ, which apparently had a sonic screwdriver port in it.
I think that was supposed to be one of the pull-out wooden nozzles, but yeah, that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it just, for me, it didn't feel like, it felt way too Deus Ex. Just way too, oh, wow, yeah, I could combine this with a pipe organ to, no.
To somehow make a
Yeah.
monster topple over.
To somehow de-do what that big-ass device did to him in the first place. Yeah, I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Didn't buy it.
And I guess the funny thing is we never even really get like a hand wavy, oh, I did all this and this. Or it's like, or the noise somehow disrupted whatever he did or whatever the hell. Or
No, there was-
The one thing we did get was there was a mention that like the doctor gave this description of the machine as using sound waves, although that actually does not fit with the explanation that we got later on in the season.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. Mind if I add a quick one to my favorite scenes that I forgot to mention?
Sure.
It's
Sure.
just the doctor's line when he, after they were trapped inside the machine, he comes out. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, it shouldn't take me that long to reverse the polarity. I must be a bit rusty. I'm like, yes. Okay. So, final thoughts, Bill.
I'm not a fan of this episode. I usually forget it. Like, I just forget that it exists completely, and it's not hard to see why. Looking at it, like the monster design is just so, like the CGI. I'm not even gonna say it didn't age well. I don't think it aged well the day it came out. But the story I'm not a huge fan of, and it's the main supporting characters introduced are Martha's family, and it's not great for them either. And yeah, I just kind of could skip over it and wouldn't lose anything.
All right. Tim?
I'm gonna have to piggyback on with Bill and agree with a lot of the things he said. It was a good evolution of Martha's character, though, which is like one of its redeeming features. Unfortunately, it introduced us to some not so pleasant characters. I like the hints of like where we're going with Harold Saxon, as well as David Tennant's performance was always top notch. But otherwise, this was a pretty, I think, blah episode, so to speak.
All right.
Just meh.
All right. Matt?
I will agree that this tends to be a rather forgettable episode. It's nice to see some more of Martha's family, although it is a shame that some of them come off as complete and total douchebags. And the Lazarus monster is forgettable, if not comical at times.
Anything else?
Otherwise, main cast did a perfectly good job of this, trying to do what they could and doing their best job possible.
All right. Thomas?
Mainly to me, if people are actually going to watch this, it's for Mark Gatiss and his interactions with the Doctor and the Doctor's whole, like the Tennant getting in when I'm so old spiels. But like I can never really say, this has always been one where prior to rewatching this, this was one where I remembered the vague elements of the plot, but I didn't remember exactly where it went. And this honestly might be one where I'd seen bits of it, but had never watched the full episode before. Or like I could not remember how this ended, and the ending is kind of like, okay, what? There was no. It's almost like they should have thrown a Chekhov's whatever in there that could pay off at the end, but instead it just ends up being Chekhov's Cathedral, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been nice if he had been exposed to some kind of extreme sound before that caused some kind of reaction. So it would have, led to that at the end, but there was no real hint of it. It's just suddenly like the Doctor going, "Aha!"
Yeah, he's not Venom.
But yeah, otherwise, I feel like the acting elevates this above like pure mediocrity. But otherwise, I can definitely see why people would skip this. I would still say people should at least check it out because it's worth seeing at least once. But if you don't want to watch it any more than that beyond that, that's fair enough.
All right. So my opinion, there's, I always look at the pillars of how to make a good episode. The writing I don't think was quite there because, like we said, the ending was kind of hash, and it didn't quite do the callousness of the character was really not quite justified. The acting was well done on the parts of the main characters and of the villain. The supporting characters, mainly Martha's family. Her sister's okay, but I don't know if it's the character or the actress that played her that makes the mother so unlikable. But
I think it might have been the way she was written, because I've seen her in other things and she's nowhere near this bad.
Okay, so it's probably the writing failure on that part, or just the character profile as written by Russell T. Either way, it makes her a thoroughly unpleasant character to even watch. So that's an issue. The rest of her family, her siblings at least, are okay. But yeah, that one, her just bothers. The special effects let you down, but the set props were good. All in all, it becomes down to a very mediocre performance that you kind of just can take or leave this episode. It's basically feels like filler when you're done. Let's go to ratings.
I think I'm going to live up to the reputation Randy described for me, because this one gets a 2 from me.
A 2?
Oof.
Yep.
Ouch.
Bill scorned.
Tim.
Can be more generous and give this a 3.
And when Tim gives something a 3, there's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Matt.
Funny enough, I'm right there with Tim. This is a 3. It's not horrible, but it has got some issues.
Thomas.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to be the Tim for this, because while it's not good enough to get like a 4.5 or a 5 by any stretch, I feel like the acting is good enough that I can justify giving it a 4.
Oof.
Oh, wow.
And I am going to be here with the Den of Mediocrity and give this a 3.
Which means it's a 3 overall.
It's a 3, yeah.
Yeah, it is
2, a 4, and 3 3s.
Makes this a 3.0. Wow.
Boom! Right in the mediocrity.
Which makes Matt, Tim, and myself correct.
Mediocre.
And the other 2 of you wrong.
We are the correct.
Not sure if that's how it works.
No, that's the Jeremy Clarkson method of justifying things.
Yep.
And as a 3.0, this puts it at number 272 out of 319 things reviewed. So, wow, down in the basement. Not quite the total basement, but it's on the stairwell.
The Lazarus Experiment. It's now officially a notepad in the basement stairwell.
It is on par with The Underwater Menace, Revelation of the Daleks, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, Trial of a Time Lord, The Ultimate Foe, The Smugglers, Deep Breath, The Beast Below, End of Time, and The Wheel in Space. It is better than Aliens of London, World War III, and it's scary that we're actually in that range. Lawrence of Nyman, Vampires of Venice, Time of the Doctor, The Crimson, and it's worse than, I almost went down into the 2.8s. And it's worse than The Sea Devils, Planet of Fire, Survival, The Invasion of the Dinosaurs, Asylum of the Daleks. Wow, we're worse than Asylum, ladies and gentlemen. Cold War, Rings of Akaton, and that's once again 271 out of 319 things reviewed. That's all we have to say about the Lazarus Experiment.
All right. So those at home, don't forget to comment with what your thoughts are before, like or dislike before YouTube decides to take that away from us. Unless you're a kid, then fuck off. This isn't the video for you.
Get out of here, children.
Otherwise, yeah, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and follow if you're watching on Twitch.
All right. So next week, we'll continue our tribute to Tenet by moving on to Series 4. It's Volcano Day in The Fires of Pompeii, written by James Moran and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Catherine Tate as Donna Noble.